All of you know how much I love fun, bad movies. To date, Moonfall is still the most entertaining film I've ever seen because it is a beautiful disaster of a movie. $100 million budget, and not a single thing about it is even close to being good. It's amazing for all the wrong reasons, and it is one of the most entertaining films ever constructed by our species. So I have a huge passion for fun, bad films, so I was very excited to see Meg 2 today because I watched the first Meg. It's nothing special, but it's enjoyable and it's very silly, and it's, of course, a bit stinky. It's a movie about Jason Statham hunting down a megalodon shark, so of course it's going to be a bit goofy. And Meg 2 was rolling around, and I expected it'd be a lot of the same. Some stinkiness, some silliness, put him in a pot and create a wonderful stew out of it and put a smile on Charles's face. And to a certain extent, it did. But it's also legitimately one of the stupidest movies I've watched in quite some time, and in a lot of ways, it's dumber than Moonfall. And I don't say that lightly. To say something is stupider than Moonfall is a bold claim that you need empirical evidence to back up. That's a claim that's bordering on insanity to say out loud. But I mean it, and I'll prove it here when I break down Meg 2 for you. So, of course, there's going to be spoilers here. I'm just going to rip the band-aid off right now. I don't think you're really going to watch Meg 2 for the story. I don't think anyone's going to this film for the narrative. You know, no one's watching porn for the plot, and no one's watching Meg 2 for the character relationship and the overarching plot. A plot that is so fucking simple, I legitimately think Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy made it after eating 5 slabs of buttered toast. It is baffling that this actually even made it into the film. It should have just been a montage of shark carnage and Jason Statham going, "What's up, chum?" and then kicking people into the shark. That's an actual line from the movie, by the way. Like, it would have been better if that's the direction they went. But unfortunately, the biggest sin this movie commits is it is boring for about 80% of it. 80% of this movie isn't spent on megalodons or action or characters fighting against megalodons. For some reason, they made the first 80% a fucking soulless, garbage, poorly written, embarrassing, corporate corruption conspiracy mystery movie. And that's using a very generous term for it, because calling this a mystery in the first 80% is an insult to the English language. It's more like a pistory, because it belongs in a toilet. So, the first 80% is dedicated to explaining the world now. There's a very expensive expedition group that's led by Jason Statham, and they do these deep dives into a trench that has these megalodons roaming around, and they're separated from the rest of the ocean thanks to this barrier that they can't cross. There's a very strong jutsu, and the megalodons aren't allowed to either enter or exit, but this team that Jason Statham is a part of is financially backed by tons and tons of doubloons, so many clams. They have so much money. They have a lot of very powerful people financing it, and they also have a megalodon in captivity that they're training and raising like a pet to understand a bit more about megalodons as a whole. Now, the team is about to go on a routine dive. They've done, I think, 26 successful missions or something like that. And this was supposed to be just another standard trip, but things went a bit awry. Now, there's another passenger aboard this ship, this giant, complex, and it's a child that Jason Statham is raising and teaching, and she's a genius. She's a 14-year-old super genius, fucking Jimmy Neutron level intellect, and she sneaks aboard the expedition vehicle with Jason Statham and the team, which he's very upset about. He's like, "This is very not good. I'm very disappointed that you've done this. We're turning this ship around." But then they're like, "No, we'll just press forward." And so they do. He didn't take a whole lot to convince them. But while they're doing that, that megalodon they have in captivity breaks out. And do you want to know how it breaks out? Well, because there was like a single metal grate, like a single metal cheese grater that was supposed to stop a fucking megalodon, an absolute monster. So it just easily breaks through with literally no effort, and we're supposed to be shocked that it did this. I don't understand how, because it was basically just a single piece of construction paper that separated the megalodon from the rest of the world. So that right there was already extremely lazy to me. They could have had some kind of cool plot, like showcasing the megalodon being really smart, like, the Megalodon set a trap. It played dead. It went belly up. So when they went in there to check on the Megalodon's heartbeat, it fucking mauled them all and then escaped. Maybe it grew wings and flew away. I don't know. Just anything besides it went through a basically open tunnel that we didn't think about. So as they're going on this dive, the Megalodon that they had in captivity starts chasing them, and they're like, how is that possible? We've got to dive deeper. It's the only way to escape it. So they dive deeper, then they eventually go into the very deepest part of the trenches, and they're speculating on if they should just abandon the mission because this is already not going according to plan. So Jason Statham's like, should really abort mission. And even the main, base is like, yeah, probably a good idea. This is already totally off book here. Let's just get the fuck out. But the actual owner of the company, the whole enterprise, is like, no, this is a really good opportunity to explore. We're explorers, god damn it, this is what we do. And our Megalodon came down here because she wants to mate. It's mating season for Megalodons, and I'm fucking horny. We're gonna go watch. And they're like, well, if you say so, shucks. So they continue to go deeper into the trenches, and then they stumble upon an underwater base. And I shit you not, for about 10 minutes, I really thought they were about to bring Atlantis into this. They were like, oh my god, there's an underwater base here. This is so weird. Wait, I'm getting heat signatures. There's living creatures on that base. And I was like, oh my god, they're going to do Atlanteans here. Oh, this is going to be incredible. But they don't. It turns out there was a different company, a shadow organization that had the same access to the technology they did, and they had this underground base that this team of good guys, the explorers, stumbled upon. And this is where the corporate conspiracy starts to unfold. They start wondering, how is that possible? We're 25,000 feet deep. No one has access to this kind of shit except us. What's going on here? There's fishy business, and I'm not liking the smell. So then we get to go into one of the bad guys' submersibles, and he's like, oh, they stumbled upon us. There's only one option. And then the guys, there's like a team of 3, and 2 of the guys are in these like underwater, fucking Gundam suits, and they're like mining away at barnacles, and they're like, no, don't do it, wait, no, don't do it. He's like, I've got to do it, they've seen us. I'm like, no, please don't. And he just blows everything up, including himself. He doesn't die from it, spoilers, but he blows everything up in the trenches, which blows up the barrier, like the genjutsu that keeps all of the Megalodons in the trenches. So he blows that shit up. He blows up the heroes' submarines and everything. And then they're in a big scramble because they can't escape now because their submarines are fried. So they get into these high pressure suits and they start making the walk on foot from the crash site of the explosion all the way to that base that they identified. Now, just to put you in the right headspace here, it's a fucking snooze fest. And it's already been like 30 or 35 minutes by this point, so it's a slow burn. Meg 2 puts the Megalodons in the back seat. It puts them as like sidekicks. Like they have cameos in this movie, basically, because they spend the first 80% with this garbage here. It's so fucking boring. But anyway, the explorers with Jason Statham and the child and everyone else get in touch with the main base, like, hey, we're gonna need that rescue submarine. Shit went tits up down here, and we need a little help. This one lunatic blew us to kingdom come. Blew us to high heavens. Our submarines don't work anymore. Come get us. And they're like, we're on it. Actually, scratch that. We can't. Somebody sabotaged our rescue sub. And now you can see all of the complex narrative plot devices coming into play. So then they have to figure out who sabotaged it. So naturally, they check the surveillance cameras. But it turns out our culprit was smart enough to turn off all of the surveillance cameras. But what they didn't realize is they had built in a fail-safe security camera system. So they go and check that. And it's revealed that our man on the inside, our evil person on the good guys' team, is a girl named Jess. And she's evil because she wants money. She says that she's doing it because she wants more money than she could ever possibly care about, where money loses all meaning to her. So it turns out what they were doing down there on that base is they were mining rare earth minerals. And I shit you not, when they go into the base, one of the main guys is like, what is this? And he's like, oh wait, this is rare earth minerals. He literally says it's rare earth minerals. And it's like, they're probably using this for superconductors, which is good for quantum computation devices as well as all kinds of transportation. This is very important stuff. No doubt, this one crystal I'm holding in my hand is worth $1 billion. And Jason Statham's like, billion? With a B? Like, I think I'm actually quoting this verbatim. I'm pretty sure I've got this right on the money if you check the script. And he's like, yes, with a B. And then that's when Jess is like, billions of dollars are at stake here. And then it gets even bigger because it turns out Jess isn't the only person working on the inside. The main girl who's financing all of this, the big CEO super powerhouse who gave a speech in the very beginning of the movie about how proud she is of this company, she is the one who's pulling all of the strings. She's the puppet master and everyone else is just the marionette on the strings dancing for her. And she's like, why aren't they dead yet? What's going on? So, I want to pause real quick because I'm probably overstimulating your brains right now. I want to point out a huge plot hole that I can't believe no one on the team recognized. The way that this is conveyed is that this is all part of the plan. What they wanted to do is kill everybody on board that main base, or rather, they wanted to kill everyone on board those subs. That was the plan from the get-go, I believe, unless I missed a crucial detail. But even Jess, who was one of the core team members, advised that they pull out of the mission when the child was on board the submarine. She's like, okay, yeah, things are a little off course, should probably pull out. So if their plan was to kill them, why would she advise that? Plus, there was no plan in place. The only reason this went so wrong is because the Megalodon unexpectedly broke out. None of this was planned or orchestrated. And the only reason there was ever an explosion in the trenches is because they accidentally stumbled upon that secret base and mining operation because they were trying to watch some sharks fuck. Like, all of it was pure happenstance. None of this was planned, and yet every step of the way, that evil lady CEO's like, you know, why aren't they dead yet? We talked about this. You sabotaged the rescue vehicle, did you not? How could they still be alive? As if it was all part of the plan. Even though there was clearly no fucking plan. The whole plot falls apart, like, if you think about it for more than 3 seconds. And another thing, why the fuck would the owner of the company that has the access to the technology, is actively doing dives and everything, why would they even bother having a separate, shady organization that's doing the same thing but then collecting rare earth minerals? Like, they're making billions of dollars off the rare earth minerals, but they could also still be doing that with the explorer team. They could just say, like, hey, we're also going to send a mining team down with you. Like, I don't think anyone would care. This is a completely separate from the rest of the world region where they're just mining rare earth minerals no one else has ever seen or had access to before. The explorer team would actually probably be pretty excited about that because it's more information and more knowledge for them. Like, they get to take in these things and learn about them. So I don't even understand the nefarious need to have, like, an evil group alongside your normal group. You could have just merged them together without any of the evilness. You could have just been like, alright, and now bring me back some fucking barnacles. They're super barnacles. Those are turbocharged magic barnacles. So let's just get a few of those and we can sell them and continue to finance these expeditions. And I don't think anyone would bat an eye. Like, I don't understand what the conflict even was to even have them as a group in this movie in the first place. There's a single throwaway line that I think is what they tried to get across, and it's from Jason Statham. He said that you're doing this for money. So I guess that's what made it inherently bad and needed to be split away from the expedition group, even though all of their expeditions are also for money. Like, they were also a profit-driven organization too. So it was like a really weird dynamic there. And then there was one line from the evil CEO who said, we can destroy the planet from underneath the trench and no one would ever know. We'll destroy all of it and sell it all for billions of dollars, is basically what her monologue said. And it's like, okay, but also, we never had access to that before. So you're right, no one would know, and you're not really destroying the planet. They were literally chipping away some of the, like, crystals on the side of things. It wasn't like deforestation underwater. It was like actually a very small scale operation with only like a handful of crystals. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal, really. So they did a horrible job of showcasing why the bad guys are doing what they're doing in the first place. So now let's get back to the plot. So they're walking from their destroyed submarines and their high-pressure Power Ranger suits to go to their base that they found and then take escape pods to get to the surface. And along the way, things get messy. There's like some deep-sea creatures with some sharp teeth that start biting them. So our people start shooting back with their spear guns. One guy gets abducted by a giant squid and he dies. You don't see it. It's all off screen. Another girl gets eaten by a shark, a megalodon. You don't see it. This is a PG-13 movie, so they don't show any of like the carnage or anything. So pretty much every death in this movie is either off screen or cut away from right away, which doesn't make any sense for a fucking movie about sharks killing people and killing sharks in return. Such a huge blunder. I understand why it's PG-13 because it's more profitable to do that because it's more accessible to people, but it still takes all of the wind out of the sails of every single action moment, of which there is very few in this movie. So they're going on this, journey from their subs to the base. They lose everyone along the way except for 4 people. Of course, the main 4, Jason Statham, the kid, the main guy behind the operation, and then another girl who was a big part of the team. So they make it to the base. Then that guy who blew everyone up cements himself as like the primary antagonist who's going to keep clashing with Jason Statham. So they end up fighting on this base. Jess reveals herself to be the person on the inside who's pulling on the strings. She traps them in that base and tries to drown them, but Jason Statham swims, I shit you not, swims with no gear from the place where they were drowning outside of the base to hit the emergency override button and save everyone. He is swimming with no gear at 25,000 feet. Nothing, very few things rather, can fucking survive at 25,000 feet under the sea. And at the very bottom of the list of things that could maybe survive, humans are there. Humans cannot. Fucking everything blows up under that immense pressure. We have never even seen something that deep. And yet, Jason Statham, powered by testosterone and a deep voice, is able to just man mode it and fucking swim like a goddamn angelic mermaid. Just Olympic swim at 25,000 feet deep to save the crew. And they try and give an explanation for it, but I swear to God, I had to wiggle my finger and say, no way, that's horseradish. No shot. Their explanation was something like, as long as he inhales enough water into his sinuses, it will equalize his internal pressure to resist the water pressure and he'll be able to be just fine. I don't have a degree in marine biology, but there's no fucking way, right? Like, there's no way you could inhale enough water into your sinuses to somehow resist the pressure at 25,000 feet deep. There's just no fucking shot, right? Like, I just don't think so. But anyway, he does. He saves everyone. He then fights the main bad guy again down there, who, for some reason, lets Jason Statham live. Jason Statham passed out after saving everyone, and the main bad guy saves him, and he's like, I was in jail for 2 years because of you. I've been waiting for this moment to kill you. And it's like, brother, you could have just let him die in front of you. Like, I'm sure that probably would have been fulfilling for your revenge arc. Or, if you wanted to be more hands-on, you could have, like, stabbed him while he was still passed out. But instead, he, like, wakes him up and then challenges him to some fisticuffs. Like, it's time to get pugilistic. Only he immediately cheats by bringing out a knife. So if you weren't going to actually, like, throw down with honor, why not just let him die? It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, they have, like, a really lame fight against each other, which, of course, Jason Statham wins. They then get into a backup submarine and escape to the surface. And in the meantime, the main base is being raided by the CEO's cleanup squad, who's come like they're a military group who's come to kill everybody so they can keep the secret that they're mining rare earth minerals in the trenches. But because of that explosion kind of poking a hole in that, protective barrier over the trench, 3 megalodons and the Kraken escape. A giant squid, basically the Kraken, escapes to these 3 megalodons and like, uh-oh, we've got a problem. But it's not that big of a problem. So instead, the military just keeps, like, shooting people and taking over the main base. And then there's 2 main people there that escape that are friends of Jason Statham. One of them's very cool. His name's DJ. He's got, like, a fucking Desert Eagle, and he's got, like, pepper spray and a taser. And he's really cool. I think he's probably my favorite character in the movie. So he has some cool moments where he unleashes some martial arts and he starts shooting his Desert Eagle. Like, it's fun watching him. And this whole sequence is kind of enjoyable because finally it's snapping out of this tedious corporate conspiracy narrative that they were trying to drive home. Now we're just getting into some fun action. We have some megalodons that are now finally starting to do something like eat people. We have the Kraken who's on the loose now. So finally, like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, we're getting something entertaining. So anyway, I'm just going to press fast forward real quick here. Basically, all of the good guys escape the the main base. The Marines are still chasing them, and Jess, the woman on the inside, turns out was the lover of the bad guy in the deep sea. So he comes back, he gives her a kiss, and then the main evil CEO calls Jess, and she's like, Jess, we're going to need to give you a promotion. We're going to make you a hero here because the public's going to hear about this somehow. I don't know how, but they're like, we need to make you the hero here, Jess, so we're going to write you a story about how you saved everyone and saved the world and saved the planet. And Jess is like, that sounds great. And then she gets eaten by a megalodon who comes through the glass and kills her right in front of her boyfriend. And her boyfriend runs away. He's like, oh no, no, no. So that's how they get Jess out of there. She was a very important person in everything going wrong, and she probably only had like 4 scenes in total in the entire movie for maybe like 3 minutes of screen time. They killed her off in a really quick, comical way. That was self-aware, though. I'm very certain that was an on-purpose gag to kill her like that. So I don't have a problem with that. But anyway, now we're getting off the main base. We're towards the end of the movie. So the good guys are in a little boat, and they're going towards something called Fun Island. Didn't put any real effort into this, clearly. This movie really feels like it's the first product of the writer's strike. Like, this had to have just been written by people on their off time during lunch that weren't on strike. Like, there's no way an actual team of writers wrote this one. I really don't think so. Or if they did, they intentionally made it as unappealing to everybody as possible, because up until this point, it is a snooze fest, and they fucking called this place Fun Island. Didn't even bother to give it a name. So they're approaching Fun Island, like, everyone get out of the water! There's fucking megalodons coming and it's a giant squid! And they're like, oh, it's a load of hooey. You're stupid, we're vacationing, we're having fun, we're not getting out of the water. And then all of the bad guys arrive to Fun Island as well, because they all deduced that it was going to Fun Island, so they go to Fun Island. And for some reason, the fucking evil CEO flies in on a helicopter to the island as well. The central point of the conflict, with all of the fucking prehistoric killing machines and all of the gunfights against the good and bad guys. For some reason, the evil CEO, who's totally safe and comfortable at her penthouse suite, flies here and just sits in the helicopter. She just wanted to be boots on the ground, like feel like she was part of the team, you know, part of the crew, part of the ship type shit. So she flies in a fucking helicopter just to sit there and whine. Why? Why? Like, it doesn't even make sense in the context of the narrative. She has no reason to be there, but she goes out of her way to be there. And she's there like this, too. She basically fucking teleports there. Like, I don't know how she got there so quick. But she's there, and then she immediately dies. Because also escaping from the trench wasn't just megalodons and the kraken. It was like lizard monsters. So they're these like 4-legged little lizards with big teeth that crawl around, and they bite and kill her. They drag her away. So she does nothing. She flies to the island just to sit in the helicopter and die. But not before she has like 5 other horrible scenes where she's in the helicopter and she hears a noise, and she says to the pilot, she's like, Jenkins, go check on that. And it's like, lady, open your eyes. So, like, he turns off the helicopter, and he goes out there, and he dies eventually. But it zooms out from the helicopter, and there is a dead body right next to the helicopter, right next to the evil CEO, that somehow she didn't see? Like, she didn't know? And she's like, Jenkins, I don't know what that was. Go check on it. And it's like, if she just looked to her left, she would have seen a dead body. And how the fuck did someone die there without her knowing about it? Who was it? Sam Fisher on a stealth mission killed this guy? Like, it makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And it's not just that body either. There was another body as well right next to the helicopter. So multiple people died around her, and she didn't know? Was she asleep? Is she lobotomized? Like, what the fuck? And then eventually she gets ambushed. Ambush is the wrong word, because the thing literally just slowly crawls up to her, jumps in the helicopter, and drags her away. And we never see her again, so she's presumed dead. So she had nothing to contribute to this fucking movie at all. The entire corporate conspiracy plotline has no real conclusion to it. It's all such trash. It's such trash. I'm kind of jumping all over the place now because the movie itself jumps all over the place. It becomes like an actual fever dream. So trying to remember anything from this film is a Herculean task. So the good guys are on the beach. They see the megalodons coming, and the megalodon starts eating people, starts killing people. The giant squid brings down an entire ship and starts, strangling people and killing them, drowning them, eating them. And I shit you not, two of the good guys go off on their own side quest, like into the jungle, because there's like a jungle on the beach there. So they go off into the jungle, and Jason Statham and another good guy and the child are still on the beach coming up with a plan. And for some fucking reason, Jason Statham tells the child to go to the lifeguard tower, which overlooks the water. You know, the place with the 3 megalodons and the giant squid that we're trying to escape from? He tells her to basically go into the fucking water. I'm surprised he didn't tell her to get on the surfboard and, like, start shredding some waves to have a little fun to take her mind off the stress. Like, what is that plan? Like, just tell her to go into the jungle. Like, the only thing that I can maybe try and rationalize here is I'm giving such a charitable fucking goodie bag to the team here, is that maybe Jason Statham thought it'd be more dangerous for her in the jungle because there were some gunshots from the bad guys fighting the lizard monsters. But even still, it's significantly lower odds of getting shot out in that jungle, which is a huge jungle, than it is putting her over the water with the megalodons and shit. But anyway, he basically just sends her to her death, like, as a prank. She doesn't die, spoiler. But he sends her to the most dangerous place possible. Meanwhile, he himself made little spears with bombs on them, which is something that we've seen him do before. And his plan is he's going to start throwing the spears with bombs on them at the megalodons, and he's going to save the day and be the big fucking hero. So the side quest that two of the people go on is to find the helicopter. They find the helicopter, no problem, lickety-split. And then they say it's out of fuel. How could it possibly be out of fuel? They just landed that bitch. It has been fucking planted on the ground and nothing else. How is it out of fuel? Did it just barely make the trip here? Did the lizard monsters, like, siphon the gas out of it because they're addicted to the gas? Like, how is it out of fuel? So then there's an intense moment where they're, like, scrambling to get the fuel hose, which is right next to the helicopter, conveniently. And they're like, all right, fill it up. And then the lizard monsters are, like, charging them. It's like, oh, our precious nectar. We need the fuel. It tastes so good. So the lizard monsters are crawling after him. He starts spraying them with the gas, and they're like, ooh. So he's like, holding them off with that, and then he fills the chopper in between, sprays them, and he's filling the chopper. And then they get on the chopper, and then one of the guys throws a match and blows up the lizards, and they fly the chopper away for literally 3 seconds before he immediately crashes. So, chopper crashes. One guy jumps out, one guy stays in, and you think he's dead, but he's not, because the helicopter, like, basically fucking explodes. The helicopter literally, like, fucking explodes. So you're like, oh, man, that guy died. Rest in peace, man. Godspeed. What a fucking patriot. But no, he's not dead. Like, somehow he survived it. So he's just, like, hanging out in there. So the guy who jumps off is like, I need to save him now. So he, like, swims over there, and he saves him, no problem. But anyway, I'll just finish up. I've been going on for so fucking long here. This is like an actual Moonfall incident here, trying to explain this absolutely disgusting, degenerate plot. So Jason Statham is throwing spears at the sharks, and this is when the movie is finally good. Watching the sharks actually kill people, well, as much as they show, which isn't much of anything, is enjoyable. It's fun. You know, shove popcorn in your face, turn your brain off, and just enjoy the silliness of it. It's fun. Jason Statham fighting the megalodons is fucking great. Him throwing these homemade spears with bombs on them is really cool. Blows the brains off of one of them after riding a gnarly-ass wave. So a megalodon jumps up, it misses him, slams down, creates a huge splash, which creates a huge wave, which Jason Statham fucking Tony Hawk ramps off of, throws a spear down beneath him, blows the brain off of one of the megalodons, bang, checkmate. Then Jason Statham crashes his jet ski. Oh, I forgot to mention he's on a jet ski, by the way. Actually, that's a very important part. I don't know what you were picturing without me saying jet ski, but yeah, he's on a jet ski. He's not, like, running on the water, you know. He's on a vehicle. But he crashes, and then he's on the dock, and then the bad guy is there as well. And the bad guy's got a light machine gun, and he's, like, shooting at him. And Jason Statham gets the edge. He stabs him in the leg. He takes his gun. And this is where we get our really cool one-liner moment. The bad guy's like, you've got your gun. You gonna shoot me? And he's like, don't need it. So Jason Statham drops the gun, which is so fucking dumb, by the way, because these are just sharks. You can shoot them, and it will hurt them. That gun would be invaluable as a resource to have. Having that gun would be so fucking helpful to protecting that child you care so much about and everyone else on the beach that you seem to care a lot about. But for some reason, it's like, yep, don't need it. I also forgot to mention that the child who went to the lifeguard tower for some reason decides that she wanted to try and save one person in particular, so she gets on a surfboard and swims out to her because she was drowning, and then she, like, leads her to the shore. So that was, like, a tense moment because, like, oh, is the Megalodon gonna kill the kid? No, didn't happen, but just wanted to point that out. So he drops the gun, the bad guy's like, I knew you were too soft to shoot me, and it turns out this sneaky bad guy had another gun in his belt pocket holster. So he rips it out, and as he's going for it, Jason Statham kicks him into the mouth of a Megalodon who's going by who eats him. And Jason Statham's one-liner is, see you later, chum. So that was awesome. Yeah, and then I'll just go ahead and wrap up the synopsis here. Jason Statham starts banging a helicopter blade against the surface of the water to get the attention of the Megalodon to get him away from his friends. The Megalodon charges him. The Megalodon jumps up, about to eat Jason Statham, but Jason Statham drops back, points the helicopter blade straight up, and impales the Megalodon, killing it. Now, astute observers will have, well, not observers, astute listeners will have heard me mention that there were 3 Megalodons and a giant squid. So what happened to the other Megalodon and the giant squid? Well, that third Megalodon ate the giant squid, mauled it, because it wanted to. So that's how the giant squid dies. And then the third Megalodon is actually the one that escaped from captivity that they were trying to train. So the main trainer had his, like, clicking tool, and he gave it clicks to try and let the Megalodon know, hey, it's me, we're buddies, we're pals. And the Megalodon's like, ooh, geez, pardon me, you're right. I didn't recognize you, out here in the water like this. I'll be on my way now. So after a couple clicks, the Megalodon just swims past them and then leaves. That's where the movie ends. So, yeah, that was Meg 2. It was a fun, bad movie at the end, but everything before it was insufferably boring bad. So I didn't love it, basically. But yeah, probably the stupidest movie I've seen in a while. Definitely up there. But I do like the last, 20 or 30 or so minutes, because finally, it's what the movie should be. Fucking silly action with sharks and a giant squid. It's fun. So, yep, that's about it. See ya. Star Wars has a new show that just released called Acolyte, and a lot of people are saying that this is the worst Star Wars show ever produced. Which I have to raise a big eyebrow to, because did we all forget Book of Boba Fett exists? What blows my mind is some people still defend that show, saying like, oh, the last 2 episodes are good, but I mean, let's just go ahead and forget about the other episodes before it, like the Vespa chase scene. God help us all. I'd show you the clip if I wasn't worried about being copyright struck for it, but there is an unironic chase scene in Star Wars Book of Boba Fett where they are pursuing each other on Vespas that probably go about as fast as I can jog. And I am not fast at jogging. If you've seen me do the presidential fitness course, you'll know my top speed is that of maybe a child falling down the stairs, like a very small flight of stairs. I am not fast, but I am confident I could have outrun the Vespas in Star Wars. Point is, recently Star Wars has just been a shell of its former self, which sucks to see because it's a franchise that meant so much to me growing up and meant so much to me for such a long time, but I just have not enjoyed it in a while. The only things in the Star Wars universe I've enjoyed in recent times were the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, the entirety of Andor. Andor was shockingly good, and also I liked the Han Solo movie. That's a really controversial hot take, but that's just a genuinely turn your brain off fun sci-fi film if you forget that it's supposed to tie into Star Wars in any way. It's self-aware cheesiness, and I just had a good time watching it. And I can't say that about pretty much anything else Star Wars has done for the last decade. And for the most part, I stopped tuning in. I swore off the franchise because I just haven't been enjoying it, so what's the point in just banging my head against this wall in boredom? But with the headline of Acolyte being the worst Star Wars thing ever made, I had to check it out. When people say French fry, I pizza, you know what I mean? Like, if something is said to be truly horrific, avoid at all costs, I'm going right over there and I'm taking a big old fucking sniff of it. I've got to know, does the shit smell like poop? Time to find out. I'd like to form my own opinions on it. So, I watched the first 3 episodes of Acolyte, which are the only 3 episodes that are out, and I want to vomit my thoughts into your mouth like a baby bird being fed by its mother here. We're going to go over the good and the bad, and there's not much good. Let's start with the good, actually, because that'll be nice and quick. I actually really like the action. The action in this is mainly hand-to-hand combat, and they do a pretty good job with it. Also, just a heads up, my house isn't haunted. That's not a poltergeist event. That claw machine is almost ready, so right now it seems the engineers are tinkering around with it remotely. So, I mean, it's pretty cute. Sorry, I wanted to see if they won. So they're using the Force remotely to play my fucking claw machine behind me. Don't be distracted. Point is, the fights. I actually liked the fights. It's flashy, hand-to-hand combat, martial arts. And that's nice. There's not a lot of it, but when it's there, it's at least refreshing. It's this welcomed palate cleanser from the very terrible writing that the show has. Like, I don't even think the characters are even bad per se. Like, they could have been pretty interesting, but the writing is so cringe. And I know I use that word real loosey-goosey. I mainly use it ironically, but here I really do mean it. It sounds like they're trying to be deep, but don't know how. For example, one of the bad guys, he's like, "Steel and laser no good against Jedi. Have to kill the dream." And then fucking fires up his lightsaber for no reason. All it should be like really cinematic and dramatic. It's just really lame. Like, all of the writing falls super flat. Even when you have characters I think could work pretty well, they just can't write them well, unfortunately. So the show starts with who we think is the main character killing a Jedi Master in a bar fight. And the bar fight's really cool if you don't think about it too hard. She's supposed to be all about peace, but she waits until after all of her friends get their shit pushed in, absolutely clobbered by this assassin who came up to her, letting her know her intentions, like, "I am here because I want to kill you. Like, I am here because I am going to fucking murder everyone here to kill you." And the Jedi Master just kind of blows her off like, "Whatever, punk, loser, get out of this bar." So then she starts killing, or not killing, she starts, annihilating all of her friends, and then after they're all down is when she steps up, and it just doesn't make much sense. Like, why? Like, I feel like as a Jedi you'd probably act before then to protect your friends. And then she eventually dies to the assassin because the assassin throws a knife at the bartender, and the Jedi Master force stops it, and then she takes a knife in the heart while she was distracted for stopping it. So she acted to protect the bartender far more than she acted to protect any of the friends she was with, and it led to her death. She died to basically a small fucking kitchen knife blade. Of course, it's very sharp. It's a real weapon, but I mean, it's a Jedi Master. You don't typically expect them to die to something like that. That was pretty underwhelming. But the fight itself was flashy and cool, but when you really start to break apart like why it was happening and the way in which the Jedi died here, kind of silly. Now, after the Jedi Master's death, they figure out who the most likely culprit is behind the assassination. It's our main character, Osha, who is a former Jedi. Well, she was trained as a Jedi and left 6 years ago. Now she works as basically a ship repair person. Like, she does a lot of like maintenance on ships, and the Jedi come up to her, accuse her of the crime. The bartender even identifies her, and it turns out she's innocent. Osha had a twin sister named May. And 16 years ago, or 15 years ago, I forget exactly the timeline, there was this big fire where only Osha survived. Everyone thought May died. And by everyone, I mean Osha and Jedi Master Sol, who was there and took Osha as his Padawan. He thought May was dead, watched her die, but it turns out May's alive, and she's out for revenge on 4 Jedi in particular. So now she's just on a galactic killing spree. Now, initially, when the premise was starting to unfold here, I thought this was going to be like Osha's going to have to go on her own solo mission to prove that it's not her killing the Jedi, it's actually her twin sister who is alive. But nope, the Jedi immediately learn that May is real, and actually even get her caught in a sting operation in the 2nd episode, immediately. She goes to this Jedi, Master Torben, I believe his name was, who just sits there meditating with like a force field around him. So she's trying to assassinate him, but he's blocking all of her punches by falling asleep while floating, basically. And she's really struggling to hit him. And then she eventually works with someone else in the city, and the Jedi catch her from that. The guy gives her a poison to kill Master Torben with, and she basically goes up to him and is like, "Listen, Master Torben, I know you're really guilty, which is why you just sit here fucking floating on your ass all day. Like, I get it. I'm giving you an option to kill yourself." And then he just floats down, he's like, "Thank God. I've been looking to die. Takes the poison and dies. He's like, forgive me for my sins. Dead. Dude couldn't wait to be banished to the Shadow Realm here. Basically, the implication is that he is guilty of some kind of cover-up with their past of that event that separated Osha and May and led to everyone thinking May and everyone else around there was dead. Osha's whole family and everyone around her was killed in a fire, and they thought May was dead as well, but it turns out she's not. Torben had a suspicion that May survived. Somehow, I guess we'll learn later on why he was under that impression. So he just sat in like a suspended animation state, floating like Zenyatta, waiting for the moment where she would bring him a poison so he could take it and die. But if I may issue an argument for anything else besides that, if he was waiting for May to kill him as like a way for him to apologize and give her closure, why wouldn't he just let down the force field when she was trying to punch, kick, and stab him? Why keep it up? Just to prank her? Like, what's the point? Why did he wait for a poison when he could have just let her stab him? I don't know, it seems silly. Maybe he fell asleep at that point and didn't realize it's possible. I don't know. But it's dumb. It's still like really dumb. Like, there's nothing satisfying or entertaining about that. It's just really silly. But anyway, after her death, they eventually corner May. They catch her. They're about to bring her in, and it leads to a pretty good fight yet again between May and Master Soul. Like, I do like the combat. Like, they do a good job with that. Honestly, that should have been like the whole focus of this series, because it's the only thing they're doing right here. Also, I forgot to mention this. Coruscant plays somewhat of a big role as a location here, kind of. And they show you Coruscant, and I was so disappointed. It's crazy how fucking over 20 years after the prequels have come out, the prequels had a better, like, visualization of Coruscant than this show. This show has over $100 million of budget to play with, and somehow they just cannot make Coruscant look nearly as good as it did 20 years ago. That's so disappointing. It's my favorite location in all of Star Wars lore, and when I saw it here, it actually looked like they just kept copy and pasting the same building in the background when they did their wide shot, and put no actual care into showcasing how grand this place is. It's just... That just really kind of speaks to the quality at which they're satisfied with pumping out the Star Wars shows now. Like, it's so... I have to imagine the VFX artists weren't super proud of it. It just seems like it's pumped out just to get it out immediately for more Star Wars slop. It just feels like they don't put a ton of care into the property. It's just a matter of putting as much property out as possible. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if... honestly, I'd be happier if we got a Darth Insanius solo show, or a Darth Yucky show, or even, I mean, fuck it, Glup Shido. Give me the Glup Shido Grand Adventure. Like, I don't care, but just anything where they'll put any effort into it. Because they have the ability to do cool shit in Star Wars. They showed it with Andor. They showed it with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. But they just got too much dip on their chip, I think, and now they're just totally complacent, pumping things like this out. And it's not very good. Now, I'll go ahead and spoil this. I don't think it's the worst Star Wars show. I still think that belongs to Book of Boba Fett, but it's still not good. Like, it's still just very not good. The only thing good in it is the fighting so far, and I don't really know how the show can save itself because it's kind of backed into a corner. So episode 3 is the one that everyone's up in arms about. Like, this is the one that put it on my map is like, okay, maybe I should watch this because everyone's mad about how bad this show is after watching episode 3. So let's talk about episode 3. Episode 3 gives the background of Osha and May, the Force-sensitive twins who this whole show revolves around. May is the villain, Osha is the hero who's trying to figure everything out, like, why is May doing this, how did May survive, who's really behind it all, and Osha's working with all the Jedi to figure it all out and piece everything together. And I imagine it's going to get into a cover-up with the Jedi having something to do with this big fire, but I'll get to that in a moment. So episode 3 shows where they come from. They come from a coven of witches. And Osha and May were created somehow. And it's like a big secret among the witches, their creation. So there's these 2 Force-sensitive witches born into this coven, and it's a huge deal, obviously. These twins were conceived without a father, and it's a very big moment in the Star Wars universe that the Jedi also become aware of. And if you know anything about Star Wars lore, you'll recognize that this is very similar to Anakin Skywalker, the actual prophesized child in Star Wars lore. He was conceived by Shmi, who had him without a father. So, like, this big Force-sensitive conception is a really huge deal in the Star Wars universe, I would think. So, the Coven of Witches are about to put them through this thing called the Ascension ceremony. Actually, before I get to the Ascension, it's important I talk a little bit more about the Coven itself. So, the Coven kind of have a different idea of what the Force is. They speak about the Force as a thread, and they try and drop, like, some profound lines about it, saying that this isn't about good and bad, it's about who is allowed to use it, referring to the Force and, like, the Jedi being there about it. And then they also say that the Force isn't a weapon, but then when she says that, this is the girl's mother saying this, the twins' mother. She's the leader of the Coven. She says, you know, the Force, the thread, isn't meant to be a weapon. And then in order to demonstrate this, she immediately uses it as a weapon. She has one of the other Coven members come up to block her Force thread, and she is unsuccessful in doing so, so she gets blasted back. Then she has two come up to combine their force to block her, and it's successful. But you're still using it as a weapon, even though you just said that you weren't going to. And then a few scenes later, one of the other scenes, they directly use the Force as a weapon, taking control of Master Torben while he was young in this scene, like, threatening him with it. They literally, like, take over his mind, like, actually fucking brainwash him. His eyes, like, roll into the back of his skull and go pitch black, and they use it as, like, a threat. So, like, they are clearly using it as a weapon, yet preaching that it's not supposed to be one. So it's very conflicting there. But anyway, let's go back to the Ascension. The Jedi have been made aware of these two twins. The Ascension starts, and this is probably a clip a lot of you have seen floating around because it's very close to being as embarrassing as the Vespa chase scene from Boba Fett. They're doing a chant while the twins are up there during the Ascension, and it's the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, in, like, Hadoken blasting force towards the Coven leader, who is the girl's mother, and then she blasts that force into, like, the head of the children. Well, only May, actually, because it gets interrupted before Osha, and she's, like, blasting all of that into May, and then she ascends. And I really think that chant showcases how little effort was put into pretty much anything in this show. Like, I don't know why someone wouldn't speak up and be like, hey, let's put a little bit more thought behind this very important chant. Like, this is a huge ceremony for characters that have massive, like, I guess, implications on the entire Star Wars universe, because they were conceived without a father in the same way that Anakin was, and they're extremely Force-sensitive, extremely important characters. Like, maybe we should do a little bit more with this chant that's supposed to be their Ascension ceremony. Like, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. That's horrible. That's, like, the first thing someone would put on, like, a whiteboard before, like, actually fleshing it out into what the real chant would be. That's, like, the alpha of it. Like, that's not what you should have ever ran with. Like, that's some shit you stick up on a mood board just to get the point across of what the chant needs to convey, that this is a power for everybody and we need to channel it, kind of thing. But anyway, the ceremony gets broken up by the Jedi, and they're trying to recruit these two Force-sensitive twins because the Jedi are recruiting anyone that could be a good candidate to become a Jedi. Osha wants to become a Jedi, even though it means leaving her entire way of life forever. May hates the idea. So they take the tests, and they were initially instructed to fail because the Coven of Witches doesn't want to lose them either, and obviously the mother doesn't want to lose her children. But Osha passes the test. She decides she doesn't want to fail. She wants to be a Jedi, and the mother accepts that. She's like, okay, you know what, it's what you want to do. We're just going to have a conversation with the rest of the Coven soon. And then May and Osha get into a heated argument because May doesn't want Osha to leave. So they're arguing in their room, and May's like, I'm not going to let you leave. And Osha's like, well, you can't stop me. It's what I want to do. And I'm going to do it. And May's like, no, I will stop you. I'm going to kill you. She says that. She says, I'm going to stop you by killing you. So she traps Osha in that room and then lights a book on fire and then drops the book in front of the door. And all of a sudden, this entire fucking place just goes up in flames instantly. It's like the whole place was made out of nitroglycerin. And I think it's important that we note where they're located. This is a very secret society that's located in a very, very, very large stone structure that is clearly a technologically advanced stone structure of the future. Everything is made out of fucking stone. And yet, when she drops that piece of paper, that fire paper, everything explodes into fire, flames instantly. So Osha panics. She eventually gets out of the room, only to find that everything's being engulfed in this blazing inferno. And then she goes into like the main area. She sees her mother and everyone there is dead somehow. And actually before that, Osha and May see each other on two sides of this bridge that's broken in half and collapsing. And the bridge gives out and Osha and May are falling to their death, but Master Soul saves Osha, and they both assume May has perished from that fall. That's when they go into the next room and see all of these bodies. And I imagine this is where the cover-up's going to come in, that the Jedi must have done something to kill all of the witches or whatever, and May is aware of that, which is why she's going to kill all of the other Jedi. At least I hope that's the direction they go, because there is no way that May killed everybody there, and there's no way this fire spread that rapidly and killed everybody. There is just no fucking way that that's going to be what actually happened. I think that's impossible. I don't think they would do that because it's so nonsensical. But even the idea that the Jedi just slaughtered all of the witches is also a bit out there, because they didn't need to either. Osha was going to go with them, and she made that clear to the Jedi. So they really didn't stand to gain anything from killing all of the witches either. Unless they really just hated that May didn't want to go with them. But even then, I still feel like that's not a measure the Jedi would take, per se. But the show really does want to make you see the Jedi as being evil, so maybe they would go that far. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But even setting aside the mystery of that, I still think from like the actual core concept of this betrayal from May and this, Breaking Bad going to the dark side is really, really dumb. I'm not letting you leave, Osha, so I'm going to kill you and basically burn this whole place down. That way you can't leave. Gotcha. Like, they did try and set up May as being psychotic in an earlier scene, but not to this degree. They also showcased how much she loves her sister, and I still feel like under no circumstances would you just snap and be like, okay, well, the only way to stop her from leaving is to murder her. That'll be satisfying. Like, then I'll be happy. That'll fix things. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe there's more to it that we'll learn down the line, but that was pretty clear. There wasn't a whole lot of, mystery there. She instantly goes from, I'm not letting you leave, I'm gonna kill you, to setting that place on fire. Like, she says that point blank. So I don't think there's a lot of wiggle room for something deeper there. That's still just really stupid. But anyway, we're 3 episodes deep into the show. It's not good. Like, it's definitely not good. But I still don't think it's the worst from Star Wars, because at least the action scenes in here are enjoyable. I can't say the same for Book of Boba Fett. So Book of Boba Fett's still taking that big L as the worst Star Wars show, in my opinion. But there's still plenty of episodes left of Acolyte to go. I guess it could get worse. But anyway, I wanted to talk about it because it's being talked about a lot as one of the worst Star Wars shows, and I just had to question it and see for myself if that's true. I disagree to a certain extent. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not good. That's really about it. So yeah. Today I had a rather perplexing question, and I turned to the only person in the world I can really trust. Myself. So I decided to get the answer to the question, is the new Disney animated film Wish really as bad as everyone's saying it is? For the first time in a long time, this is one of the very few instances I can remember where a Disney film, specifically a Disney animated film, got blasted by both critics and audience alike. And I think a lot of you out there probably didn't even know Disney had a new animated film on the horizon, let alone out right now, because this movie, Wish, received less advertising than my secret TikTok account I made 3 years ago, It's Shade, where I was doing like awful fucking Doja Cat say-so dances and shit to see if I could organically grow a TikTok account wearing a mask. Spoiler alert, the answer was no. But this movie had no hype around it, legitimately no buzz, and unsurprisingly, it's not performing super well in the box office, but where it's really floundering is in the reception to it, where people are saying it's just genuinely not very good. Initially, I didn't have any plans of seeing this film, I just really wasn't interested in it. It didn't seem like a movie I'd really want to go put my ass in a theater for and watch. But after reading the reception to it and what people were saying about it, my curiosity was piqued. And all of you know that I'm drawn to bad movies like a fly to a pile of dog shit. I can't help myself. So, I went to see it last night, and I I had to confirm for myself whether or not it really is the super stinker that it's made out to be. And before the intellectuals come in swarms to wiggle their finger and say, well, actually, Charles, this is a movie designed for children. It's ridiculous to try and critique it as an adult. Bah humbug. SpongeBob was designed for kids, but it's enjoyable for all ages. If you're making a quality product, even if its intended demographic is children, it should still be enjoyable to anyone of any age, if it's a good product. Disney used to understand this and be extremely good at it. Something like The Incredibles, I still think is an unbelievable masterpiece of a movie, even at 29 years old, and that movie is designed for a young demographic, but I still appreciate it as an adult because it's just a fucking good movie. I want to go into Wish a little bit here. I'm going to try and avoid spoilers. I wasn't really interested in seeing it, but after all of the reviews and everything, and somehow it got shredded by most people, which I would have never expected from like a pretty safe Disney animation, I got curious if it's actually bad. So right now it has, I think, the lowest Disney animation opening rating on Rotten Tomatoes ever or something. And I just saw it. And it's not bad, but I see why no one really likes it. It's really, really painfully generic. It is legitimately just a full-blown marketing campaign that could have been used as like a commercial, but stretched to a feature-length film. I don't understand why they'd even make it. It doesn't really make sense. They took every element of good Disney animations and like roped it into this haphazardly. And it has like the worst ending in any Disney animated movie I've seen in a minute. The ending is terrible. The ending is so bad. I just don't get why they even bothered with this. They didn't really have a story to tell. Like the movie's just over an hour, I think. Actually, how long is it? Let me check the runtime. It felt like it'd only been like 20 minutes and we had reached the conclusion. Because it's just a speed run of all the same Disney tropes we've seen a million fucking times. It's an hour 35. It literally felt like a 35-minute movie, which is nice. It didn't drag. But even spoiling it, it doesn't really do much. Basically, the concept of the film is fine. Like, the concept is interesting enough. There's a powerful sorcerer, and he takes people's wishes. He's made like this utopia kingdom. They give him his wishes to gives him their wishes for safekeeping, and then he'll occasionally grant them. And the big plot twist, well, it's not a big plot twist, it's actually established within the first 10 minutes of the film. Turns out he's not a great guy. Who could have seen it coming? He takes their wishes because he wants to ensure that they're not going to be a danger to his kingdom. So what he does is he takes all of these wishes and he only grants the safest ones. Like the most throwaway safe wishes. And Jeremy made a really interesting point that the film itself unintentionally serves as an allegory for modern Disney, where all of these fans have all of these wishes and expectations that they'd love to see Disney act on, and Disney doesn't. Instead, they just grant you the safest, most insignificant garbage content, like the safest shit. And I was like, damn, that's actually kind of profound. Like, this movie really is an allegory for how Disney handles what the fans want. Yeah, Jeremy Jans. Is it Johns or Jans? I really like his reviews. I think he does a good job. It's very concise, it's fun. But I never know if it's Jeremy Johns or Jans. Like, there's nothing objectively horrible about the film. It's just so derivative of every other Disney film ever made. You just get nothing out of it. Like, even the musical numbers are pretty uninspired. There's only one that stood out to me as being pretty good, and it's the second song in the film. Like, the second song is the only one that I was like, oh, that's kind of a banger. Everything else, I feel like no one would ever go out of their way to listen to ever again on purpose. They're just so bland. And every side character in this is completely forgettable that serves no purpose. And really, even the main character herself doesn't do anything. She does the most important thing, which is making a wish of her own on a star, which is why you get Luma here. But outside of that, she does nothing. The star does everything until the end of the movie, where it just completely blows its ass wide open with nonsense. There's been a trend on TikTok to compare it to older Disney movies and their music to show how generic it is. Oh, I believe it, because it is painfully generic. A lot of Disney fans on TikTok really don't like the music. Some of them even accuse Disney of using AI to make them. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, This feels so derivative of everything good from Disney movies of the past tried to like make something new out of. Like, it does feel like you would plug all of this into Chat GPT and have it spit out a script. It's uninspired. The jokes in it, like I don't even know if you could classify them as jokes. They barely even try in that department. There's nothing. It has nothing. But the thing is, like, it's not a bad movie per se, I suppose. It's just so uninteresting, so forgettable, and just nothing. I just don't know why they'd even bother with it. No, it's just boring. Like, it's not fun bad or anything. It is just a boring movie. It has nothing to it. There's no meat on its bones. I'll talk about the ending real quick, I guess, because the ending really is like the most egregious, like, hey, let's just wrap this shit up and be done, okay? So basically what happens at the end... Okay, big spoiler warning if anyone gives a fuck. Huge spoiler warning. Sound the alarms. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Big spoilers. At the very end, it's the final showdown between the main character and the main bad guy. And he's this all-powerful sorcerer. Our main character, she doesn't have any powers of her own. Like I said, she herself doesn't really do anything aside from summon Luma, who does everything. It's character's not actually named Luma, it's Star, but it's basically like Rosa and Luma. And he captures Star, and everything looks lost, because it is. He is now all-powerful, all undefeatable, just this fucking monster now. And the way they defeat him is she starts singing a song. So then every citizen of the kingdom joins in the musical number, and he's already, like, bound them. And they all just start singing, and basically it's the power of their wishes was so great that Star broke free and he got caught in his own staff. Somehow. So they unionized. I mean, I guess. Yeah, kinda. But he's defeated through the power of song and everyone wanting to make wishes. But I don't, like, there's no reason that should have beat him at all. Like, he should have just listened to that and been like, alright, can you stop wishing? This is fucking cringe. And then he just starts blasting them all again. Like, there's no reason it should have done shit to him. Doesn't the main character become a fairy godmother? Kind of, but until then she doesn't do anything. And even after that, they don't show her doing anything. You actually watched this? Yeah, I was curious why it was getting shredded so much. I couldn't imagine it actually being that bad. And like I said, objectively it's not horrible, but it's just a complete waste of time. There's no reason to see this movie. It's just this amalgamation, this fucking chimera of Disney greatness from the past thrown in here really shittily. Disney's just tanking all over. Disney's had a rough year in terms of, like, the reception to their work. Financially speaking, I don't know how they're faring, but the reception to a lot of the Disney work this year has been rough. Today I had the primal urge to watch a shitty movie, so I did what any 21st century civilized man would do. I attacked Google looking for any shitty movie I hadn't already seen. I was like a meth addict scratching my neck trying to get my fix, but I couldn't find a shitty movie that I hadn't already watched. And then I remembered, I'm followed by the official Max Steel movie team on Twitter. So in 2016, Max Steel, which is a beloved property near and dear to my boners, I grew up watching Max Steel. I even had the Max Steel video game on PS1 and Sega Dreamcast. At least I think it was Sega Dreamcast. I know I had it on PlayStation 1 and then another console, and I really feel like it was the Dreamcast. And I also had the Max Steel action figures, the one that you could take the clothes off and play dress up with him. And obviously being a curious child, I took his clothes off to see what a penis looked like, but they made him dickless. I just wanted to see what a super secret agent superhero was rocking under the hood. Never really got to see it with the action figures. But anyway, the point is, I was very familiar with Max Steel, but I never saw the 2016 movie because I knew it was going to be a stinker, and I really didn't want to have Max Steel ruined for me. I know if I go back and watch Max Steel, it probably sucks fat ass, but I didn't want to go to the movie theater and be disappointed. But today, I thought I owed it to the Max Steel team on Twitter to check out their movie. And this isn't like a joke. This isn't like a fake Max Steel account. This Max Steel account on Twitter is the official Max Steel movie Twitter. Look at the following list. It's just totally normal shit for a corporate Twitter account, and then out of nowhere, me. I'll fucking take it. I kept this in the wank bank since 2016. I knew the second they followed me, I got a notification, and I was elated, but not motivated enough to see their bad movie until today. So let's check it out. How bad was it? Not even 2 minutes after the near fatal accident, Max finds himself in the garage with the girl, and there's clearly a lot of sexual tension between the two. Sound effects are a little fucked up here. I don't really understand why it sounds like a flashbang just went off. Maybe he's about to prematurely ejaculate and he's a ticking time bomb. That's what the sound effect is for, but I'm not really sure. All I know for sure is he nailed an incredible move. The old almost get hit by a car, driven by a hot babe, making her feel guilty enough to take your bike to her garage to fix it, and then you doggy style her on top of a Plymouth. Solid. Now this is odd to me because I feel like that would have been the first thing he'd do after learning his father died in an explosion. He'd probably want to know what the fuck happened. Thus, he would naturally Google it, and in this movie, their version of Google being Yahoo Answers if it was fucked by Ask Jeeves, but the point being, why wouldn't he have researched it himself fucking 10 years ago whenever it happened? I don't really understand why he was waiting till marriage to figure out what happened to his dad. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, he Googles it, gets some unexplained phenomena. Some people believe he was... Memories start flooding his mind. He learns that his father's death wasn't an accident. The rogue tornado that killed him wasn't a weather-related rogue tornado. In fact, it was an evil thing called Ultralinks. And that name sucks ass. It's not very intimidating. It sounds like a form of Yu-Gi-Oh! Summoning in a modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. Definitely could have been better. Something like maybe more intimidating, the Shred Terrors. The ass-annihilating Rip Von Stranglers, shit like that. Ultralink, it even sounds like a good guy, honestly. Like, it sounds like a different division of the Power Rangers. We have the Power Rangers, and then we have the Ultralinks. It's a shit name. I didn't like the name, but that's what's killed his father. He also learns Steel knew his father. I don't know, maybe Steel shot out the wrong car's tires, like, fuck. Accidentally just blew up this librarian's tires, fuck it. And then Max and Sophia escape. Sophia and Max make it to Intech, where he starts asking Miles questions unenthusiastically. Everything Max does in this movie is very bland and unenthusiastic, so when he's questioning him or just kind of talking to him, it's as if you're talking to a fucking brick wall that learned English barely. And for the 50th time, Max runs away. He super speed his ass away. Why is he jogging like he was just pick last in kickball? I don't really understand why that would be overlooked. He doesn't use his powers. This is the best time to use that power, and he doesn't. But it's a good thing he didn't, because he gets sucked into the Ultralink tornado. Super Suit comes back on, and that's when they finally say it. Steel tells him,
"The Ultralink, it's exposed. Shoot it. Go turbo."
What?
Hurry before it
And go turbo he does. He turboizes that bitch so fucking hard, turbos it out of existence, using his Tony Stark heart, throwing the energy at it, and it's vaporized. Fuck yeah. God, the scenes in this movie are so fucking boring. I'm just gonna tell you, I don't even feel like clipping the appropriate scenes to explain it. We'll just get towards the end of the movie here, because we're wrapping up now. Max shoos away Steel because a vision he saw made him believe that Steel betrayed his father, so Max once again runs away, because that's the only fucking superpower he really has, the power of cowardness. He's just always running from something or pissing his pants over something, so he runs away, goes to his house, and he sees the same Intech bad guys at his house, so he assumes that the Intech bad guys are there to kill his mom. He calls Miles, he's like, "Miles, there's bad dudes at my house, they're probably gangbanging my mom, what do I do?" "Well, they're not gangbanging your mom, they took her to the old Intech facility." So he lowers defenses as the Ultralinks storm in, and then he puts on some like robo claw, like a goddamn lobster claw, except mechanical and alien tech. And Max's dad, Jim, is strapped to a chair. He wants to suck all the energy out of Jim because he was jealous of his tachyon abilities. But Jim had a trick up his sleeve. He decided to just blow his entire load, throw all of his energy into the sucking device, which overloads it and blows it up. But before that, he gives a very motivational speech to his good friend Steel before he passes. Jim explodes, rest in peace Jim, and rest in peace to any good writing, because not only is his speech super lame and really poorly acted, but it's a giant glaring plot hole, because Steel says that he can get Jim out. Now ordinarily when that line's used in a movie, it's just desperation, they have no way of getting him out, but they want to try because they love their friend. Hey, I can get you out, no problem, bro, we'll kick some mean keg stands afterwards, huh? But here, Steel absolutely could have gotten Jim out, and it's proven in the next scene. So the bad guy comes in evil Power Ranger suit, evil villain speech. But the difference this time is Steel fuses with Max, and they both break free, and then it leads to a fight. It frees him. Steel could have done the same goddamn thing with Jim, as Steel said, but Jim just actively declined it. It's like those people that refuse CPR for some reason. Jim, for an inexplicable reason, just says, nope, I don't want to get the fuck out of here, I'm ready to overload. And so he does. I don't understand why he would do that when he cares about his son so much, but he does, so there you go. Yeah, Max just kind of hides while a bunch of normal, innocent human men just get slaughtered by the bad guy. He's not exactly what you would consider a hero, or competent, or charismatic, or basically anything that makes a good character. But in the end, he gets the claw. The claw sucks out tachyon energy. He's getting his shit sucked dry. And then he comes up with the plan to once again overload. Hey, what's up, girl? I made this hentai of you. This is my dick and 16 tentacles that all have the same stimulation for me personally as my dick. It's weird. I don't understand. I don't know if that's a common thing in 2016 to be giving girls like doodles of them from like a weird stalker portfolio. But anyway, he does. They kiss happily ever after. So the movie overall is bad. It's not good. Did I expect it to be worse? No. Did I expect it to be better? No. It's about what I expected. Is it the worst movie ever made? Also no. Is it true to Max Steel? God, I hope not. I don't remember the show. I'm probably not going to go back and watch it, but god damn it, I don't feel like my time was wasted. I take that back, it kind of was. It wasn't like a fun, bad movie. This isn't like a movie that is enjoyably bad, something like The Predator, the newest Predator movie, or most obvious one being The Room. Those are fun, awful train wrecks. This is a very unenjoyably boring, bad movie. What it takes to make a good bad movie is a very clear vision. This movie doesn't have a vision, it's just kind of a cash grab, as if Max Steel is really like this cash cow that you can perpetually milk. No one even remembers it, but that's what it is. It's uninspired, it's passionless, there is no vision. If you were going to make a bad movie that stands the test of time, like The Room or anything from Neil Breen, you need an artistic vision. And you need to be so inept at the craft that you can't make that vision come to life. So you end up with this weird, pretentious shitstorm, like The Room or Neil Breen's work. Those are the two main ingredients. A vision and the lack of talent to make that vision come true. This has neither of those. It's just boring bad. And yeah, I still hope the official Max Steel Twitter account continues to follow me on Twitter, because I like having that to brag about to my friends. But if they choose to unfollow me, I would understand. That's about it. See ya.